So good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning. Any doubt in the previous lecture? So in the last lecture, we have discussed about the secant method only. So we have completed our four methods now. So in this lecture, we will discuss the order of convergence for each method. Means uh, we have done four methods and convergence of four methods also. But every method, each method will gives you which rate of convergence. Means which gives you the faster convergence of a sequence. So in this lecture, we will discuss it. So first of all, what is the order of convergence of a sequence? So this is the definition. And if you're taking any sequence which is converging to P, first of all, this is a condition, it should convergent. If you are saying what is the order of convergence of a divergent sequence, so this is not a in basic thing. So if Pn is converging to P, then only you can check the order of convergence. So here, if you are taking any sequence by bisection method, by secant method, by Newton method, by fixed point iteration, any sequence generated from any method with Pn is not equal to P for all n, if positive constant these two exist and this limit will exist, which is equal to lambda, then you will say, means what is this? This is a ratio of n plus 1th iteration minus exact root and divided by Pn. This is the nth iteration minus P raised to power alpha, which is equal to lambda. So if you're taking n goes to infinity, it should be lambda. And lambda is any number here. This is a real number, positive number, but so then you will say Pn is converging to P of order alpha. This is important here. So if Pn is converging with order alpha, it means a rate of convergence is alpha here. Means with the convergence alpha, it is approaching to the P value. With asymptotic error is constant lambda. So now if you take, we are taking the particular cases here. If alpha equal to 1, means if I take simple alpha, means the ratio of these two only, and lambda is always less than 1 for each n here, then you will say the sequence is linearly convergent. And if alpha is equal to 2, means if you raise the power here, then you take the ratio, then the sequence is quadratically convergent. So in this, if you take, suppose I'm taking alpha equal to 2, and then I have to, suppose I'm applying any method, so I will get the first iteration minus P by P naught minus P raised to power 2. So suppose you are getting lambda 1, then P2 minus P, this is again lambda 2, any lambda you will get P3 minus P, P2 minus P whole square, then you are getting lambda 3. So this is the sequence you are getting. So when n goes to infinity, this lambda n is a decreasing sequence. This should be decreasing. So then we will say alpha equal to, for alpha equal to 2, the sequence is converging to P with quadratic convergent, means with order 2. So obviously, if you take higher order convergence, so then it will converge more rapidly to the root than the sequence with the lower order. So obviously, quadratic convergence will gives you root faster than the linear order convergence. So similarly, for the cubic convergence, fourth order convergence may occur in each method, in any method. So any doubt in this definition? So let us discuss the convergence of each method. First, we will take bisection. Order of convergence of bisection method. So first of all, we generate a sequence. Let us take a general sequence generated from the bisection method. So let Pn, this is a sequence. You're getting this sequence by taking the interval of opposite sign and then taking the midpoint. So you are getting this sequence. You know how to make a sequence in bisection method. So this is a sequence. Generated by bisection. Bisection method. And we know that if it is a sequence which is generated by bisection method, then we will then we have done the error bound also. Means if you're taking Pn is approaching to P, then maximum error can occur. It is if it is approaching on AB, then it is B minus A by 2 raised to power n. So this was the error. We have already done it in the bisection. So the error bound by the sequence, which is Pn converges to P. On AB. On AB is, so this is the formula, Pn minus P is less than equal to B minus A by 2 raised to power n. For n greater than equal to 1. Means this is true for each n. For each iteration, this is true. So now if you want to find the order of convergence, so we need to check this limit here. So here we have Pn minus P. So now we can write this for n plus 1 also, because this formula is true for n plus 1 also. So we can replace it with n plus 1. So also it is true, n plus 1 minus P is less than equal to B minus A by 2 raised to power n plus 1. So now take that ratio. Means I'm taking Pn plus 1 minus P in the numerator and this in the denominator, Pn minus P, this. So it will be less than equal to, if I write this in the right hand side, it will be B minus A will get cancelled. So you will get 1 by 2 raised to power n plus 1 and 2 raised to power n will come in the numerator. So 2 raised to power n here, 2 raised to power n plus 1 will be here. So it is 1 by 2. So here you can see it, this is raised to power 1. This is alpha, you can say this is alpha equal to 1 and it is less than equal to 1 by 2 for all n. For all n it is true. So whether if you take the limit, so this is depending on m, but if it is, if I take the limit here, suppose I'm taking, so this is limit n goes to infinity. This is raised to power alpha 1. So then limit n goes to infinity. So this is 1 by 2. It is independent of n here. So that will be 1 by 2 only. So this will be treated as a lambda, which is less than 1. So from the first part, you can say if alpha equal to 1 and lambda is less than 1, the sequence is linearly convergent. So here we can say that the bisection method generate the sequence which gives the linearly order convergence. So now if you, now what will happen if you raise alpha equal to 2? So then if you are getting again a sequence which is a decreasing order, then you will say then it is the bisection will gives you second order convergence. So so first we will check for alpha equal to 2. So we take Pn plus 1 minus P in the numerator, and then we take Pn minus P raised to power 2 in the denominator. So means you have to take square of this equation, inequality. So here it will be less than equal to B minus A by 2 raised to power n plus 1. So it is less than equal to B minus A by 2 raised to power n plus 1 divided by B minus A by 2 raised to power n whole square. So here you will get 2 raised to power 2n will come here and 2 raised to power n plus 1 into B minus A. So now taking limit on both sides. Pn plus 1 minus p by Pn minus p whole square. So if you solve it, it is n minus 1 by b minus a. So b and minus a both are finite interval we are taking. So this is finite interval. And if you take b minus a, that is a finite quantity. So here you can say if it 2 raised to power n minus 1 by b minus a. So 2, this is greater than 1. And if you take, it is a power of n minus 1 and n is going to be infinity, then this is approaching to infinity. I mean, this is equal to infinity. So this is not a decreasing sequence. So we can say that Pn, which is generated from bisection method, is convergent with order 1 only. Means that is linearly convergent. So that's why bisection is slow method. Means that will gives you the if you are applying any, means if you are taking any equation and if you are applying bisection method on this, so to achieve this accuracy, maybe you will get the answer in 15 or 20 iterations. Means if you if you apply another method, so maybe you will get the same with the same accuracy in 3 or 4 iterations. So that's why this is its sequence is giving you linearly convergent. So that's why it is a slow method. So next is order of convergence of fixed point iteration. So now here we have seen that when we have done the fixed point iteration, you know that if you have taken g of x, means in the procedure of the fixed point iteration, we have chosen our g of x, then on any interval ab, then we have taken any initial guess in between ab, then we have found the sequence which is converging to p. When it will converge to p? When this g of x is appropriate g of x. Appropriate means it satisfies that 3 conditions on this interval ab. So even its convergence is depending on the g of x. So obviously its order of convergence will also depend on g of x only. So if you choose your g of x wisely, then you will get the convergence, and then you will say about its order of convergence also. So its order of convergence is also totally depending on g of x only. So here also we take same condition that g of x is a continuous function on AB. G maps into itself, that we have already taken in the fixed point iteration. And in addition, g dash is continuous. Here we have taken continuous, and a positive number exists which is k less than 1, such that this will hold. This is also a third condition for the convergence for all x belongs to AB. So that 3 condition will gives you the convergence that you all know. Means if these three conditions are satisfied by any g of x, so the sequence generated by this g of x will gives you convergence, guarantee of the convergence. So now how to find the order of convergence? Now what is the order of convergence of this sequence? So here this is also depending on g of x. That is first part we have. If you check, suppose you got g of x that is appropriate, so obviously it will satisfy this property that g of p equal to p, because p is a fixed point for this g of x. So now you take its derivative, you find its derivative, then put x is equal to p into that function. If g dash p is non-zero, if g dash p is non-zero, means first derivative at that point, that is a fixed point for this g of x. If you put that point into the function, if it is non-zero, then for any initial guess that you have taken the sequence Pn, which is given by g of Pn minus 1, converges only linearly. If you take g dash p is non-zero, then converges, you will get as a linearly convergent to the unique fixed point P in AB. So how it happens? Suppose I'm taking G of Pn. This is nothing but Pn plus 1. And we know the first derivative only of the of this G of x. So if you want to write the Taylor series, suppose I'm writing the Taylor series. So here I know the first derivative only, so I can truncate the series up to first order only. So it will be approximately equal to G of P plus Pn minus P. This is the Taylor series. G dash at, I'm taking, if you want to truncate the series, I am taking any point in between Pn and P, that is Cn. Okay, so this is Pn plus 1. If I take approximately, G of P is equal to P only, plus Pn minus P into G dash at Cn. So this will be Pn plus 1 minus P equal to Pn minus P G dash at Cn. So take mod both sides, then you will get Pn plus 1 minus P divided by Pn minus P. So this was the definition of the order of convergence, which is equal to G dash at Cn. Now taking limit on both sides. So if this is lambda, which is less than 1, then you will say this sequence is linearly convergent. So can you find this limit? Means if I take its limit and goes to infinity, Pn plus 1 minus P, Pn minus P, it is already 1 here. So here we have G dash at Cn. Can you find the limit of this sequence? G dash at Cn. And where, what is Cn? Cn lies between Pn and P. So now if you have to find this limit only. Actually here we will use two theorems from calculus. I think you may have already know about it, that if you are taking sequence an, bn, cn, I'm taking 3 sequences which satisfied an less than bn less than cn, maybe it is equal to also. If an is converging to a number a, cn is also converging to a number a, then this will also imply it is also converging to a. So this is one we will use it here, that if an is less than equal to bn is less than equal to cn, if this sequence an and cn converges to the same number, then middle sequence will also converges to the same number a. So this is called sandwich theorem. So here also we can use it, means if Pn is approaching to P, we have already taken Pn is approaching to P. P is a constant sequence that is also approaching to P. Constant means every term is a P. So it is also converging to P. And then it will imply Cn will also converges to P. So now what about G dash at Cn? So here we have another result, that is if An is converging to A and f is continuous function, then f of an is converging to f of a. So now you got the limit here, because g dash is, we have already taken, it is a continuous function. Then so if cn is converging to p and g dash is continuous, then g dash at cn is converging to g dash at p. So that will converge to g dash at p, which is already less than 1. Which is less than 1 because here we have taken, this is the, because it is true for all x belongs to AB and P also belongs to AB. So this belongs to AB. So this can be treated as a lambda, which is less than 1. So here you can say here Pn converges to P linearly. And there was a condition, it should be non-zero. So that's why we can say that it is less than 1.
Ma'am, can you please explain the Taylor series steps again? How we have derived this?
Actually, Taylor series, if you have a function for which it has a infinite time differential, suppose I'm taking g of x only, Taylor series for g of x. So I can write the Taylor series. G of x is equal to, means if I write the x plus h here, then it will be g of x plus h g dash x plus h square by 2 factorial g double derivative at x, and so on up to. And if you write the last term h raised to power n by n factorial, if you write the remainder term for it, g double derivative at some point in between, means if I write c here, then you have to take c lies between x to x plus h. So here I have truncated this series, but here I have a first derivative only, so I can truncate this series up to first order only. So here I have written, means I have taken x plus h as Pn and x as a P here. X plus h as Pn and x is equal to P here. So automatically it will gives you, if I write Pn here, Pn minus P, sorry, Pn minus x, it will be my h. So that is Pn minus P, because x is P only. So from here I have taken this. So I have taken any number, because Pn is already in the sequence, because if you take P1, suppose, then I will take C1. If you take P2, then you have to take any number in between P2 to P, that is C2. P3 to P, it will be C3. So I'm taking in general that Pn to P, that is Cn, any number in between Pn and P.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So here you got the linearly convergent. So I've used this result actually. So now, can you get the quadratic convergence in this case? Yes, we can get the quadratic convergence also in the fixed point iteration. So let us see what are the conditions for the quadratic convergent. So this is the condition. Means here you have to take g dash p is equal to 0. Means if g dash p equal to 0 and double derivative is continuous function with double derivative is bounded, means you are taking any continuous function with this should exist. G double derivative is less than equal to some quantity which is greater than 0. So then any sequence, you are taking any neighborhood of P, that is P minus delta and P plus delta. So for any initial guess in this interval, the sequence defined by Pn is equal to G of Pn minus 1 converges at least quadratically to P. So now next condition is, if G dash P is equal to 0 and double derivative is continuous and bounded, then you will get this quadratic convergent at least. At least means ज़्यादा भी मिल सकती है, cubic भी मिल सकती है, 4th degree भी मिल सकती है. But here we will discuss about the at least quadratic convergent to P. So now how to, yes.
मैम फर्स्ट वाले को एक बार ब्रीफ कर दो, दोबारा से समझ नहीं आया वो ज्यादा.
Actually, here we have taken only one condition, G dash P is non-zero, and rest conditions are same as we have taken in the fixed point iteration. That you all know, na? 3 conditions. So these three, by these 3 conditions, we know that G dash x is exist and continuous also. Here we have taken this. So if it is up to the first derivative, then you can write the Taylor series, na? Taylor series for this function.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is G of Pn is equal to G of P plus Pn minus P, and I have truncated this series up to the first order only. So if you know the Taylor series, if you write the last term of the sequence by taking approximation, then you have to write any number between the interval. But now interval is Pn and P only. But in the general, we take generally x or x plus h. So then we take any number between x or x plus h. But here I have taken Pn into P. So now this is the sequence because Pn is equal to g of Pn minus 1. So you can write it as Pn plus 1 because g of Pn will become Pn plus 1. So this will be Pn plus 1, which is equal to P because g of P is equal to P. P is a fixed point. Pn minus P and g dash at Cn. So now if you take this into the left hand side, Pn plus 1 minus P and this in the denominator, then you will get this. So now here from the definition of the order of convergence, if you find its limit and if it is lambda which is less than 1, then you will say it is a linearly linearly convergent. So now our aim is to find this limit only. So that is the limit of this. Here I have used these two results. Means if Pn and P both are converging to the number P, then this is also converging to P. And here if Cn is converging to P and this is continuous function that is already taken, then g dash at Cn is converging to g dash at P. So this limit is g dash at P at last. Means by using these two results, you get this limit as a g dash at P. So which is less than 1. So if it is lambda, which is asymptotic error, which is less than 1 and with alpha equal to 1, the sequence will be linearly convergent.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So here also we will use the Taylor series only.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you please go to previous slide?
Yes.
2 minutes. मैम ये जो आपने सैंडविच थ्योरम आपने लिखा मैम इसमें an comma bn क्या है
सीक्वेंसेस हैं
मैम मतलब डिफरेंट सीक्वेंसेस कोई भी
एनी सीक्वेंसेस हाँ
ओके मैम
जैसे हम ले सकते हैं 1/n स्क्वायर वैसे यहाँ पे होगा 1/n स्क्वायर then you can take any zero sequence also means if I write 0 less than equal to 1/n or 1/n square 1/n here so this is going to be 0 this is going to be 0 this will also close to 0 means you can take any sequence.
Okay ma'am.
So if g dash p is equal to 0, the next condition is g dash p is equal to 0 and double derivative exists continuous and bounded. Then our sequence will gives you quadratically. So now here also we again use the Taylor series, but now we have double derivative. So we can truncate the series up to second order. So g of Pn is equal to g of p plus Pn minus p g dash at p Pn minus p whole square g double derivative at Cn. So here Cn lies between Pn to p. So this is again Pn plus 1 from this sequence, which is equal to p because g of p equal to p because p is the exact fixed point for this function plus Pn minus p g dash p is 0. This is given plus Pn minus p whole square. Just a minute. It is g double derivative at Cn. So this term will be 0. So here you will get Pn plus 1 minus p, and then take mod. Then again you can take Pn minus p whole square in the denominator. And here you will get g double derivative at Cn. So with the similar reason, again, this is converging to p, this is converging to p, that will also converging to p. And here g double derivative is continuous. So then g double derivative at Cn will converge to g double derivative at p. So if you take the limit on both sides, this is g double derivative. If you take mod here, double derivative at p. And this should be bounded, and it is already bounded. So here we can say that with alpha equal to 2, we can say that this sequence is converging to p with quadratic convergent. So here Pn is converging to p at least quadratically. So that is depending on g of x only. So if your g of x is satisfying this condition, then you will get the quadratic convergent.
Ma'am, when we have written the Taylor series, ma'am, in the last term, shouldn't it be g double dash p?
Here,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, this is the remainder term. So if you write the last term, then you write any number between the interval. Suppose I'm taking I'm writing the Taylor series between about a and b. Then you have to write any number between a and b. If you remember in the Taylor series.
Okay.
Yes. So now here, moreover, for sufficiently large values of n, you have to prove this also. Means Pn plus 1 minus p is strictly less than m by 2, Pn minus p raised to power 2. So this is already we got from this only, because if you take Pn plus 1 minus p, this will come in the left hand side, and then you replace this g double derivative with this m. Sorry, it should be by 2 factorial also. Yes, so that will be less than m by 2, because this will be replaced with m, and then Pn minus p whole square. Because for sufficiently large means we are not taking limit n is going to be infinity. Here we are taking any number which is very large. So for this it will hold.
Ma'am, ma'am, in the second step, ma'am, how did we say that g dash p is 0?
Where? Here.
Okay, ma'am, that was given. Okay.
Yes, it is given. So now can you get the higher order convergence also? Means again it will depend on the g of x only. So this is the case. If order of convergence of fixed point iteration method, here if you take g dash p is equal to 0, double derivative is equal to 0, m minus 1 derivative equal to 0, means up to m minus 1 derivative at p, this function is 0. So then the sequence defined by Pn is equal to g of Pn minus 1 converges at least of order m to p. So it means if you are writing g dash p equal to 0, double derivative equal to 0, and I'm taking g m minus 1 derivative at p equal to 0. Why I'm taking at least? Here if you write, suppose mth derivative is non-zero, then you will say Pn is converging to p with order m. But here I have not taken this condition. Mth derivative at p is non-zero. That's why it is at least of order m. So maybe mth derivative at p also can be 0. But if you prove that it is also non-zero, so then this will be the order m only. So here if g dash p is non-zero, means if first derivative is non-zero, then the convergence is linear, means first order convergence. So related means if first derivative is non-zero, then you will get first order convergence. If second derivative is non-zero, then you will get second order convergence. If third derivative is non-zero, you are getting third order convergence. If you are taking mth derivative is non-zero, then you are getting mth order convergence. Means previous derivative should be 0 at that point. Actually, this is also you can prove it by taking Taylor series up to the mth order. So all the previous terms will be 0. So in that case, you will get Pn plus 1 minus P divided by Pn minus P raised to power m. So then in the right hand side, you will get some number which is non-zero. So this is the order of m. So now here we have discussed the fixed point iteration convergence, which is depending on g of x only. Okay. So next is order of convergence of Newton's method. Can you find the order of convergence of Newton's method? How we can check the order of convergence of Newton's method? Because this is a particular case of fixed point iteration, na? We can convert this Newton's method into the g of x. So then you can apply that these results. So if you check that g of x, first derivative at p is 0 or non-zero, so then you will decide what is the order of convergence of Newton's method. So let us discuss it. Newton's method. So now what is Newton method? First of all, is given by Pn plus 1 is equal to Pn minus f of Pn divided by its derivative. So I can write it as a g of Pn. This is the function, another function of Pn. So here I can write Pn plus 1 is equal to g of Pn. So this is the sequence we got in the fixed point iteration also. So Pn plus 1 is equal to g of Pn, where g of Pn is this. So here we can write g of x is equal to x minus f of x divided by f dash x. Okay, so here I should write that let p be the root of the equation. The root of the equation f of x is equal to 0. So it means f of p is equal to 0. F dash p is non-zero because this is the condition in the Newton's method, and g of p will be p. That you can see, if you take x is equal to p, then you will get p minus f of p and f dash p. This is 0 and you will get p only. So now can you check the order of convergence from this g of x? If I find its derivative, if I find its first derivative, then I will put x is equal to p. Then if it is non-zero, then it will give you the linear convergent. If it is equal to 0, then it will give you the quadratic convergence. So then you can decide the order of convergence of a Newton's method. So let us find its first derivative. It is 1 minus f dash x whole square because it is a u by v form. So f dash x is as it is. First derivative of f of x, it is f dash x. Then minus f of x as it is, derivative of this function there. So what it will be? F dash x whole square minus f dash x whole square plus f of x double derivative at x divided by f dash x whole square. So here you will get g dash x is equal to f of x into f double dash x by f dash x whole square. So now you put x is equal to p, g dash at p. So what is this value? Is it 0? Is this 0?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. It is 0 by some non-zero number because this is non-zero. It is not a 0 by 0 form. Otherwise, you cannot say it is a 0. So this is non-zero and denominator part is 0. So it is 0. This is finite value, so which is non-zero, or you can write finite value. Is equal to 0. So if G dash is P is equal to 0, so it means the sequence Pn converges to P at least quadratically. Why at least? If you find its double derivative at P that is also 0, then you can get the cubic convergence also. So that way it is at least. Means Newton method will gives you at least quadratic convergent sequence. So that's why Newton is effective than the bisection method. And if you choose your appropriate g of x, then in the fixed point also you may get the quadratic convergent. So this we have done. Now in the secant method, we are not discussing the secant method here. Means secant method will gives you the order of convergence with 1.618 something. So bisection gives you linear convergence, and fixed point gives you the linear as well as quadratic conversion. Higher order convergence may occur depending on the g of x. And Newton method will gives you at least quadratic convergent. So now, so there is a one question that how you can check the order of convergence of any sequence. So suppose you have a iterates here, xn plus 1 is equal to this number, this expression. Here a is any number which is real number converges to P. Means this is the sequence which is converging to P, and P is a raised per 1 by 3. Find the order of convergence of this iteration scheme. So this is like xn plus 1 is equal to g of xn, and which is equal to 2 by 3 xn plus a by 3 xn square, where a is any real number. So for, what is g of x here? It is 2 by 3x plus a by 3x square. So first I check that this p is a fixed point for this function or not. This a raised per 1 by 3 to check p is a fixed point. If I get a raised per 1 by 3 only, then it is a fixed point. A raised to power 2 by 3. So here you will get 2 by 3 plus, sorry, 2 by 3 into a raised per 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 into a raised per 1 by 3. So you will get 3 by 3 here. So a raised per 1 by 3 only. This is P. So g of P equal to P. So now let us find its derivative. It is 2 by 3 minus a by, sorry, 2a by 3x cube. So now put g dash at P. Is it 0? Just a minute.
Yes, ma'am. 0 आएगा.
Yes, yes. So g dash at P, it is 2 by 3 minus 2 by 3. Actually, it is a raised per 1 by 3. So if you put a raised per 1 by 3 here, it is it will be a only. So 2 by 3 will a will cancel with a. So it will be 2 by 3 minus 2 by 3. So it is 0. So it means this sequence is converging to P at least quadratically. But if you find its second derivative, and if you, yes,
एक बार ये आप बताना कि ये एटलीस्ट क्वाड्रेटिकली क्यों है?
एटलीस्ट कि कम से कम क्वाड्रेटिक कन्वर्जन तो मिलेगी ही, इससे ज्यादा भी मिल सकती है ना.
मैम
That will depending on the double derivative.
हम क्यों मतलब ऐसे
ऐड करनी है।
क्योंकि देखो फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव इफ इट इज जीरो, देन if it was non-zero suppose, then you will get linearly convergent. But if it is equal to zero, तो at least quadratic तो मिलेगी ही ना, उससे ज्यादा भी मिल सकता है. That will depending on the double derivative. If double derivative भी zero हो जाता है, then you will get at least cubic convergent. In the fixed point iteration we have done this ना.
yes ma'am okay
हाँ.
ma'am
So now you can check the double derivative also. Then you will you can replace this at least with the quadratic only. But you may get the cubic also. Double derivative check karo. 2/3 will be 0 and this will be 3 2a by x raised per 4. 2a by x raised to power 4 with negative positive ban jayega. So this you are getting. So now you put x is equal to p, that is a raised per 1/3. So it is non-zero if you put it here. So this is non-zero. It means this xn plus 1 is converging to p quadratically. So with order 2. Okay. So if any question come in exam, then you find its first derivative. If first derivative is non-zero, then you imply it's a first linear order convergence. If second derivative is zero, then at least quadratic. Then you find first derivative is zero, at least quadratic. If you find second derivative, then if it is also zero, then you have to find the third derivative also. Means exactly you have to find the order of the convergence. Okay, so there are some questions. You try this question. What is the order of convergence of this iteration as it converges to the fixed point p is equal to root a? So you have to find its
Ma'am?
derivatives only. Yes.
I mean, the previous question, why didn't we check like g dash x, mod of g dash x less than 0 or is less than 1 or not?
Here,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, this iterates is already convergence sequence. So it means this sequence, this g of x already satisfied that three conditions.
Okay, ma'am.
क्योंकि sequence already convergence दी हुई है, then you have to find the order of convergence ना.
Okay, ma'am.
So this is the iterates and converges to p equal to 1 for some values of constant c. Here you have to find the c value, and for what values of c, if any convergence is, actually this part we have already done in the previous lectures where we have taken the convergence part. But here you have to find for what values of c, if any convergence is quadratic. Quadratic means you write its derivative at p1 should equal to 0. So then you will get some condition in c from where you will get the value of c also. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.